Hello everyone and welcome back to our watercolor flower series. My name is Audrey Shunt and I'm a watercolor artist and a watercolor teacher. And today we are going to be sketching this flower. So this is a rosebud, and in this series we do all of these flowers, so it's really fun. But in this video we'll sketch. We're only sketching. So if you want, I have a free printable that looks like this, and you can get this and use this as a reference at home. Or you can just sketch along with me right now. You don't actually need it. But because we're just sketching, we just need to have a pencil. I have a kneaded eraser. I'm going to be working on 140-pound cold press watercolor paper because my intent is to do a sketch that I then paint with watercolor paints. But if you're just sketching today, any sketchbook is great. And so that's all we need today. So let's make sure that you have a nice cozy space set up as we always do. I have got my candle here. I've got something to drink. I have a blanket in case I get cold. And so let's just make sure you've got a nice lovely space and we'll get started. Okay, if you have the free printable, this is what it looks like. And these are just kind of, it's my sketch, but it's just a little bit, it doesn't have all the details that you need, but it does give you the nice shape and everything for you to kind of look at. You can see on it, this is kind of messed up, but this is the rosebud. This is what we're doing today. So I want to start and just observe this for a moment, and then we'll observe the painted ones, and then we'll jump right in, okay? So it is one single flower. It's a bud, not a full bloom. And we see that this has like sort of a rounded shape here. And so that's how we'll start out. And we have a stem that comes down, curves a little bit. And we have two leaves, one on top of each other, and they're kind of going different directions, if you see that. And the stem, the stem is maybe 1.5 in length of this bud. And then we also have like these little leaves that are kind of coming up and around it right now because it's still closed up like this. It hasn't spread out. So if you can make sense of that, it always helps. Anything that just helps you understand it. And later on, these are the ones that we see sort of like underneath like this. Isn't that fun? So when it opens up. Okay, so that is a simple sketch that we're going to do. I do want to show us like where we're going with it. And so sometimes we sketch a little differently when we're going to paint with watercolors after. But this is it. This is what it looks like later on. We give it much more depth and definition when we get in with our paints. But we just need the basic outline for the sketch. I don't think there's much else to tell you. Just that we do want to distinguish like two separate sections of petal. So if you can kind of see that line, we've got kind of one and at least another one behind it. And I'm going to say that's good enough for our observation. So I don't know what kind of paper you're working on today. I have this one. This is what I've started our other flowers on so far. And I'm actually just working in a sketchbook, and then I'll fit as many as I can on here. If I can't fit them, I'll just put them on another page and call it good. So I don't want anyone worrying too much about how they're going to fit. But let me grab that one back out. As we look at how they do fit on this one, I noticed that I've got it here. We've already done these two flowers. If you haven't done those, just disregard all this and I'll try to make it quick. But as I look at what I need to fit in, I need to fit one between them still. Hopefully I can get this one on the side. And then this one's kind of close. It just has stuff on either side of it. So let's see, if I look at where the stem sort of starts, I can put about 3 fingers between this stem and this stem. I'm only going to give that to you in case it matters. I know a lot of you are doing these on individual papers, which is also awesome. So let's see here. I'm going to put like my 3 fingers down just as a little bit of a guide. And I also noticed that the circle of the this one is kind of like next to this portion. I can maybe put my pinky down between them. So that's how I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to go. So here's this circle for the bloom. That's just to save space for just a second, okay? And we're just going to make sure we like where we've got it. And I can take, I will get closer in a second, but then I can take and kind of go like my stem will start at the center, which is a little tipped, and it'll kind of come over and then straighten out. I don't know if this is right yet. Now we're going to kind of dig in, okay? But on my paper, I wanted to figure out generally where we want it. So from here, okay, we're going to start with this circular shape, and I want you to decide, do you like the size of it on your paper? And it's not exactly just a circle. You know what? One thing I always say, press lightly with that pencil. Okay, if you press hard, you cannot freely erase, and so you can't just try things. We like to let things start wonky. So make sure you have a good eraser. If you need a kneaded eraser, it, along with all the rest of the supplies, are listed in the description box. But, so we've got this one right here, and I do want it tipped in like this direction, okay? And it is kind of a circle. It starts as a circle, but then I notice some straightness on these sides a little bit. So I'm putting in straight lines on either side just to help me make sense of it. Okay, here and here. And then we want it to kind of curve in real light because I want to be able to move this. This is not going to be where we end up, you know. And then I want to make sure that I like the direction of the stem because that really will determine the whole flower because it gives direction. So I want it to go a little bit up towards that top left, but not like a full 45-degree angle. And then from here, I'm going to make sure that it, see, I'm changing what I already did. Tips over a little, mostly straightens out. I did one where it had a big curve, and I didn't like that quite as much. We want just a little bit of a curve, then straight. So I'm widening it out like this. And remember we said it was like kind of 1.5 of this. So if you kind of went like that, you know, go like down to here maybe. And I'm still pressing so lightly on my pencil because I just don't know if this is going to be quite it. And I want to be able to move it if not. But that's a pretty good start. And then from here, I don't even like to do the top of the flower yet. I like to, well, let's do it. I'll let us do it. So notice that we have those two separate petals. It's hard to keep them both on screen, but this one runs up along the side of it and comes in. So we just have this like line that follows over here. So if you come in a bit, curve it around. So we're like following a circle a little bit and up. That's going to be the front of our big petal, and then wiggle it. We can change that in a minute. Everything can start wonky. And I'll curve it around. I don't love it yet, but that's okay because we're not done. I want this part to just follow alongside of it. Follow that nice curve. Okay, and then just a little bit of a wiggle here as well. Once again, we don't know if we're keeping that, but we got to start getting things in. Now, as I look at these leaves that come up around it, we want to keep them pretty tight to it. Really, they are tightly, they're just like one more layer of like, think about if this is paper towel. This is one more layer of paper towel around it. It's not this giant big shape next to it. It is wrapped around. So we don't want to go kind of too wide and too outside of the shape. Notice how this is really in front of the red part. Okay. Tucking it away, and let's keep going. I think it's easiest to start with this one down here. We do want to leave some space. So you're going to leave about, you know, this much space here. And then this one's wider at the bottom and gets narrow at the top. So if we kind of don't let it get too fat because we want to see all that flower, but start on both sides, maybe bring it up and over. And then this part is so skinny, but you have to fit your paintbrush in there. So don't get, you know, much skinnier than that. I don't want mine to go quite so high. I'm going to start it getting skinny here. And just look at it and look at this one if you want to. If you haven't already done so, you can take a screenshot since we've got this one on the page. And that way you can reference it if I'm covering it or something. So we've got that one. And then these ones on the outside, notice how they're pretty symmetrical. They're covering the red. They come around and up. You can decide, do they both come in? Do they both come out? You have one and one. And we're going to come covering up what we've already done. So pressing lightly because we know we'll erase stuff later too. I'm going to come kind of up and around. And then it's going to come, here's where it comes outside of the rose. And it's going to have just a nice little, see this part? Let me zoom in. This is nice. We want something like this where we can almost see some straight lines in here and it really tips off somewhere, gets real skinny. I think we're going to really like that part. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing on the right. I kind of have, so on this one, we brought it in a hair. Let's just see how it goes. Everybody just try it. And in a minute, if you don't like the way those are directed, you'll just shift it. So from here, I want to start inside of that rose again, curve around. Make sure you get some straight lines in there too, so it's not just all curves. And it's going to come up and over. Maybe give it another twist. Okay, so it gets small and pointy at that top. And then it's coming back around. And really, we're using that same edge we already created. I want to get in there and erase a little bit now, though, because I want to make sure I like what I'm seeing. And it's hard to see it when you have lines that aren't going to stay. So, doing a little bit of that. Now I can start to make sense of it a little bit. And I think I'm going to want it changed a little bit. But first, let's put this one in. We got another one in the back. Just coming up and away. Gets skinny. I think I want to see more roundness right here. So I'll do that by widening this up and curving it in. Yeah, I already like that better. Getting my eraser out. Drawing is always pencil and eraser. I don't know how people do it on the first take, but that will just never be me. Okay, and that feels a little more like organic. We don't want it to be too matchy. It just, these little tiny lines where it comes up and then over, right? Those matter. Those all add up and they really give just sort of this organic realness to our flower. So we're doing pretty good so far. I would say let's leave this for a second because then you can get sort of the gift of perspective where you look away at something else. So we're gonna do the leaves and we're gonna come back. I've done this a few times and one thing I notice is I do want my rosebud to be just a little bit bigger than my leaves. If my leaves are as big, they sort of steal the show. So you see how they're similar, but we don't want these to get like even bigger, okay? So watch for that. And really they come out here, which is more than halfway down that stem. So you can maybe put a dot or something. And let's draw that line for the direction that they go. Okay, first of all, if you see things you want to change as you go, just do them, but press lightly. So this one, that leaf comes further than the actual stem, which is kind of cute. I'm going to draw that line. And then the little one comes basically from the same spot, but this one comes kind of up and over this way. Shorter for sure. So make sure they're not the same size. And then on this one, okay, a couple ways that we can do this. You could just draw a side and then you could kind of zigzag over it. I don't like doing that because then you have to erase, you know, because you don't want both lines. So I'm taking this big one first and I'm gonna look at the shape. Let's look at it. It overlaps the stem and comes all the way to the right of it. So we're going here, okay? And then from here, we're gonna come out and zigzag our way down. Think like lightning, okay? Now, as I did it slow, it was a little bit perfect, and we don't want that. So I want just let yourself feel it. Just do it a little bit free, but press lightly. If you don't like it, you'll do it again. But what I was about to get was like this perfect, which is really cutesy, but less realistic. So we like this. I'm going to do this top one next so that I know what covers, okay? So actually this part is just one more line. And really we'll see it only on this bottom side. So zigzag it back. It's like lightning, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and then I'll get this other side so I didn't have to like work on top of the other one. I want you to look at it. Do you like it? Does it feel good? If not, get rid of some of that. No big deal. We love our eraser around here. I used to really think that if you were a good artist, you would get it right on the first time. You just knew. I would watch artists do these like perfect, you know, straight lines on things, and I was like, wow, that's not me. And so I didn't think I was an artist. Okay, this feels pretty good, but this is too curved for me. I need to straighten this one out. So hopefully we are all doing some little adjustments. Cool, I think I like that. Now what I want you to do is stop for a second and look at what you have done. We don't want to be done until we're done. If we rush a sketch, it's a bummer. This is the part where you really want to take a second, look at it, and make sure you like it. Now if you want to, do you see this green line that I want to put in with the paint? You can draw it now if you want to, or you can just do it with paint later on. But it might help you to kind of get that roundness if you really just follow that circle again and curve it down. You could do it here if you wanted to, just to show you the shape so you understand it for when you paint. I'm going to bring this up a little. So I just want you to take a second. The thing is that you're really like, I'm done. Okay. And maybe you are, but maybe you're not. And I think at this point, we're pretty well done. So take a look. You might want to take a picture of it on your phone and look at it that way. And just catch anything you do or don't like. If there's any pencil on here that you don't want to see later on when we get into our paint, make sure you erase it now. And on our next video, we're going to mix up some paints and paint this beauty. Let's make sure to write what it is real quick though. It's a Rosebud. And so I'm writing it right here. Just feels real fun to do that on all of them. And that is our third one. So I'll see you over on the video where we paint it. Thanks for hanging out with me.